Hello everybody, we're going to hit you up with another presidential election. This one, the election of 1992, three-way race. George H.W. Bush going for the second term. Can he get it done? Excuse me. Let's find that out right now. Now we're going to start off with the incumbent party in this. The Republican Party, the incumbent president, George Herbert Walker Bush of Texas, going for the second term. But he's facing some opposition from Pat Buchanan of Virginia, David Duke of Louisiana, Jack Fuller of West Virginia, Pat Paulson of Washington, and Harold Stassen of Minnesota. But at the end of the day, Bush is going to win renomination pretty easily, and his vice president, Dan Quayle, remember he's from Indiana, is going to be renominated as his running mate. Now, the success of the conservative opposition forced the moderate Bush to move further to the right for this election than he did in the last election, 1988, and to incorporate many socially conservative planks in the party platform. Now that we have a Republican ticket of Bush and Quayle, Bush going for re-election, let's go to the Democrats. Now, after the successes of the United States in the Gulf War, Bush's approval ratings was 89%, and his re-election became more likely. But as the economy went into recession, those chances began to dwindle. So candidates put themselves up for the Democratic nomination. It's wide open in this election. At the top of the list, the governor of Arkansas, Bill Clinton. We also have Jerry Brown of California, Paul Tsongas of Massachusetts, Senator Bob Kerrey of Nebraska, Senator Tom Harkin of Iowa, the governor of Virginia, Douglas Wilder, Eugene McCarthy of Minnesota, the mayor of Irvine, California, Larry Argan. Now, at the end of the day, it is going to be Bill Clinton who receives the Democratic nomination for president, and he's going to name Senator Al Gore of Tennessee as his running mate. Now that we have our Democratic ticket of Clinton and Gore, let's go to the independent candidacy of Ross Perot. Now, Ross Perot, he managed to get himself on the ballot in all 50 states. In 6 of those states, it was through the formation of a political party that supported his candidacy. And his candidacy exploded on the scene in dramatic fashion. At one time, Perot was leading the major party candidates in the polls due to the public's concern about the federal budget deficit and fears of professional politicians. Now, Perot crusaded against NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, internal and external debt, tapping into voters' potential fear of the deficit. Now, in June, Perot led the national public opinion polls, but he severely damaged his credibility by dropping out of the presidential contest in July and re-entering a few weeks later. And they compounded this by eventually claiming that his withdrawal was due to Republican operatives attempting to disrupt his daughter's wedding. And this was really baseless. He didn't have any evidence. But he is going to choose James Stockdale of California as his running mates. Now that we have our Republican ticket of Bush and Quayle, Bush going for re-election, the Democratic ticket of Clinton and Gore, and our independent party ticket of Perot and Stockdale, three-way race. Let's put all these guys into the ring, and let's see who's going to win this thing. Now, after Bill Clinton secured the Democratic nomination in the spring of 1992, polls showed Ross Perot leading the race, followed by President Bush and Clinton in third place after a grueling nomination process. Two-way trial heats between Bush and Clinton in early 92 showed Bush in the lead. However, the economy continued to grow sour, and the president's approval ratings continued to slide. The Democrats began to rally around their nominee. Governor Clinton's acceptance speech accepting the Democratic nomination, Perot, as that approached, Perot dropped out of the race, convinced that staying in the race was a revitalized Democratic Party. But the revitalized Democratic Party but caused the race to be decided by the House of Representatives. Clinton gave his acceptance speech on July 16, 1992, promising to bring a new covenant to America and to work to heal the gap that had developed between the rich and the poor during the Reagan-Bush years. The Clinton campaign received the biggest convention bounce in history, which brought him to 25% in the spring, behind Bush and Perot, to 55% versus Bush's 31%. Now, after the convention, Clinton and Gore began a bus tour around the United States, while the Bush-Quill campaign began to criticize Clinton's character, highlighting accusations of infidelity and draft dodging. The Bush campaign emphasizes foreign policy successes such as Desert Storm. Desert Storm was a military operation to force the Iraqi army of Saddam Hussein to leave the small Middle Eastern emirate of Kuwait after Iraq had invaded that nation. Eventually, Iraq did leave Kuwait. And the end of the Cold War, the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991. Bush also contrasted his military service to Clinton's lack thereof and criticized Clinton's lack of foreign policy expertise. However, the economy was the main issue. Bush's campaign floundered across the nation, even in strongly Republican areas. And Clinton maintained leads with over 50% of the vote nationwide consistently, while Bush typically saw numbers in the upper 30s. As Bush's economic edge had evaporated, his campaign looked to energize a socially conservative base at the Republican National Convention. At the convention, Bush's primary campaign opponent, Pat Buchanan, gave his famous Culture War speech criticizing Clinton and Gore's social progressiveness and voicing skepticism on his new Democrat brand. After President Bush accepted his renomination, his campaign saw a small bounce in polls, but this was short-lived as Clinton maintained his lead. The campaign continued with a lopsided lead for Clinton through September, until Ross Perot decided to re-enter the race. Perot's re-entry into the race was welcomed by the Bush campaign, as Fred Steeper said, "He'll be important if we accomplish our goal, which is to draw even with Clinton." Initially, Perot's return saw the Texas billionaire's numbers stay low until he was given the opportunity to participate in a trio of unprecedented three-man debates. The race narrowed as Perot's numbers significantly improved as Clinton's numbers declined, while Bush's numbers remained more or less the same from earlier in the race, as Perot and Bush began to hammer at Clinton on character issues once again. And that was one of the big issues for this campaign, you guys, was the character issues. And that character as pertaining to Governor Clinton. Many character issues were raised during the campaign, including allegations that Clinton had dodged a draft during the Vietnam War and had used marijuana, which Clinton claimed he had pretended to smoke but then inhale. Bush also accused Clinton of meeting with communists on a trip to Russia he took as a student, and he was also often accused of being a philanderer by his political opponents. Now, allegations were also made that Bill Clinton had engaged in a long-term extramarital affair with a woman named Jennifer Flowers, but Clinton, he denied ever doing this. He denied ever having an affair with Miss Flowers. And now with the campaign over with, let's go to the results right now. Big win for the Democratic Party. Bill Clinton's going to become the next president. He'll win 370 votes in the Electoral College, while Bush and the Republicans pick up 168. 32 states in the District of Columbia are going to vote Democratic. They're going to vote for Bill Clinton, while 18 states are going to vote Republican, and they're going to vote for President Bush. Now, in terms of the popular vote, Clinton finishes first with 43%. Bush with 37.4%, and Ross Perot, probably one of the best third-party performance since 1912. He is going to receive 18.9% of the popular vote, and in a couple of states, he finished second place in the voting in those two states. So he did extremely well. But nonetheless, Bill Clinton is the President of the United States. He's going to serve out his first term And he's going to fight for a second term in the election of 1996, which we will talk about next time. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got a lot out of this election of 1992. If you haven't seen any of my previous videos, go ahead and watch those if you want. And with that, we will see you next time at the election of 1996.